Sorry. We'll just pop in next door first, so we'll normally take you in there afterwards. But sorry. Let me play the audio for you, and that gives you lots of information.
On behalf?
We all okay, yeah?
Yes.
By all means, stand up, sit down, do whatever you'd like.
The commanding officer, HMS Triad, where the Royal Navy's warfare training is conducted, I'd like to welcome you to the War Map Room. This room, which was completely refurbished in 2001, is now one of the wardroom anterooms. But for a period of 3 months during 1944, momentous decisions were made here which dramatically changed the course of World War II and indeed the history of the world thereafter. HMS Triad, the then navigation school, had moved from the bomb-wrecked Portsmouth dockyard to Southwark in the spring of 1941. From the initial conception of the invasion of Europe, Southwark House was chosen as the forward operations centre for the Supreme Allied Commander, General Dwight Eisenhower, and his staff. It was also the headquarters for Admiral RAMSAY, the Naval Commander-in-Chief. Preparations for the invasion commenced towards the end of 1943, and Southwark House was sealed off from the remainder of HMS Triad in April 1944. The wall map was only a small part of a complete map of Great Britain and the whole European coastline, from North Norway to the Spanish frontier. The map was provided by a toy firm in the Midlands. When the entire map arrived at Southwark House, the section that you see was separated from the remainder and erected in the present position. To further maintain secrecy, the 2 workmen and naval officer who erected it were then required to remain in Southwark House until the operation was underway. A plan of the room as it was laid out in the period leading up to the invasion is on the wall by the door, to your left.
It's just up there.
Returning to the map, the red lines around the east, south and west coast of the United Kingdom indicate swept channels used by our coastal convoys throughout the war. They were used by the assault ships proceeding from their loading ports to the assembly area, which is shown as a red circle southeast of the Isle of Wight. The red swept channels then lead into green Danboyd channels, and there's a separate channel for each invasion beach. These pass through a German minefield, shown as a white area with diagonal lines. The plain white areas are British minefields. Approximately 100 minesweepers were used for cross-channel sweeping. D-Day was originally planned for the 5th of June, but at a meeting at 4:30 a.m. on the 4th of June, the weather outlook was very poor. A series of depressions was approaching from the Atlantic, as can be seen from the weather charts on the left of the wall map. After consultation, General Eisenhower postponed the invasion for 24 hours, although too late for some shipping which had already sailed, and therefore spent an uncomfortable night at sea. At 4 a.m. on the 5th of June, however, the local weather was no better, but further forecasts provided by the Met Officer, Group Captain Stagg, gave some promise of improvement. General Eisenhower had 30 minutes to make the final decision, involving not only the 3 million men and 2,727 ships taking part, but also the future of the Western world. After a few minutes, the decision was made, and the great enterprise commenced. By early on the 5th of June, a steady stream of ships was heading out to sea from the ports along the south coast. They rendezvoused off the Isle of Wight and then headed south. The first landing had to be in daylight to avoid pilotage errors on the approach to the beaches. On the way, moonlight was essential for navigational accuracy and to guide the paratroops. For this reason, the assault was planned to start 40 minutes after nautical twilight and between 3 to 4 hours before high water, in order to expose obstacles below the high water mark. HR on the 6th of June was therefore 6:30 a.m. in the American sector and 7:25 and 7:45 a.m. in the two British sectors. For the next 34 days, this room remained a veritable beehive of activity. But after that time, as quickly as everyone had arrived, they simply left, leaving the room littered with orders and equipment. Later, the decision was made to preserve the wall map as a living memory of that great occasion, and it was set up for HR in the British sector. It was officially unveiled on the 7th of August 1946 by Admiral, subsequently Admiral of the Fleet, Sir George Creasy, who had been Admiral Ramsay's Chief of Staff during the invasion. If General Eisenhower had decided to delay the landing until the tides were again right, some 2 weeks later, the course of history would have been different. By that time, the worst channel weather for 20 years would have prevented the invasion. The difficult decision to go ahead, taken early on that June morning in 1944, was therefore a truly momentous historical occasion. At the other end of the room is a painting by Norman Wilkinson, which was commissioned by the officers of the Navigation and Direction branch to give an impression of the invasion. Below this are sketches made by Norman Wilkinson while serving in HMS Jarvis at Normandy. To the right of the wall map, on the panels between the windows, are two charts used by Lieutenant A. Layton, R&R, whilst serving in HMS Catherine, a minesweeper, throughout the D-Day landing. The charts are believed to be unique and are the only known surviving charts actually used at the D-Day landing. During the 2001 refurbishment, the officers of the wardroom decided to dedicate a room within Southwark House to the memory of Admiral Ramsay, due to his significance in the history of the House during his time as Allied Naval Commander-in-Chief, Expeditionary Force. The room, leading off from the wall map room itself, contains a number of artifacts known by Admiral Ramsay's family, as well as several pieces owned by the Royal Navy. Standing centrally above the fireplace is a miniature of the statue that's kept at Dover Castle, and facing this is a copy of the Burney portrait of Ramsay, the original of which hangs in Britannia Royal Naval College at Dartmouth. This completes the presentation on the wall map room. If you've time, then please feel free to stay for a while and soak up the atmosphere of this historic room.
So Ramsay was also responsible for getting our troops back from Dunkirk. So instead of 45,000, which we hoped for, he got 338,000 back. So that's why they thought he's our man. Churchill said he's our man for this. Yeah, and unfortunately he died less than a year after D-Day. Really? Yeah, he was going to meet with Montgomery, and his plane crashed on takeoff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So after everything he did,
That's right.
yeah. So he unfortunately didn't see the end of the war.
God.
I'm sure he saw it was going.
Yeah, it was that way. Like,
yeah.
By then it would have been.
Yeah.
But even so.
I mean, he was in the First World War.
Yeah.
Then he retired. Churchill got him back. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was holding out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
awful, really.
after everything he'd been through.
Yeah, you don't see the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really sure. Yeah. And never been to the police or anything.
I went when I was a lot younger, when I was a child, yeah. So do you remember bits of it?
It's a lot when you coming from Wales and went down to
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously several places. Because I got an uncle who was captured at Anzio.
Oh really?
Yeah, and spent the rest of the war. Spent the first 6 months he was due back to Italy. And the Italians had a couple of weeks stuff like that.
Oh.
That was it, okay. The Italians were capitulating and then the Germans took them to nothing to pay them. Marched them back all the boats due. Yeah, not pleasant times. Yeah.
Did he survive?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was 6'3", and when he come back, he was 6.5 stone.
Oh wow.
So they had him in a special hospital, which is up a place called Clipboard, and in the hospital.
Yeah.
But they got to feed him like rice beer and mashed potatoes and stuff like that.
Yeah, gradually, I guess, yeah.
And he always had poached fish. I noticed that when I was a kid. Uncle Ken come home, he always had poached fish and mashed potatoes and soft food. Because it's time to put the bacon and stuff in there. And that's the side you don't see.
Yeah, and the mental side
Oh,
of it as well.
never so
Yeah.
much about that.
No, and you'll find that about lots of them. They never talked about it.
My dad was a devil, he was down in Manchester until he was 14, 15. His dad was down in Wales, working down in Wales to service there. Dad was down in mines instead, so he worked down in mines. I didn't want to do that either. Until the war finished.
Yeah.
My uncle came, my uncle Jeff, so he did the Burma, so. And he was with the Navy, because he was in the Marines. Like he was going on like a small landing craft, they used to get a go across the pretty right up like you said, the chat we was on the outside, they can't be, because they were pretty vicious at that point.
Yeah, I bet.
They weren't gone on in the past.
Thank you very much, guys.
That's all. Okay. No, it's interesting.
Yeah, I can't see him either.
So we must have kept them off. Yeah, well, that's all we know.
No one working since we painted this. It's on HMS Jarvis.
Oh, you don't know that, yeah.
These were sketches that he took in Norway. I won't worry too much.
It might not stay on there.
That's all right. It was originally a library, and this is the room where Eisenhower made the decision to go. So there's a plaque on the wall up there that states that, and then this is one of Stag's weather maps. So there's a few things to just have a look around in here, and then we'll get in next door.
It's about himself?
Yeah.
Got one in there, now, I've just got to get everything out.
but it'd be
Yeah,
flooding
that's what it is,
everywhere.
yeah. I think it's lovely.
Yes.
Thank you.